Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. And welcome to Unity of Phoenix. Welcome to our Sunday worship celebration. My name is Richard Mirage, and I am the senior minister here. And I just want you to know, I'm so glad you're here today. I'm not only so glad you're here today, I want you to know that your presence here makes a difference. You know, we have two intentions for our service. Number one is our intention that our music and our meditation and our message today will help open your heart to feel a deeper experience of God. That will help you let go of whatever you're holding on to feel a more conscious awareness of that spirit of God's love and peace and joy in your heart. And the second intention is that you feel a sense of connection and community, that you feel a part of this amazing ministry in this community. You know they say how the geese, when they fly together, they actually travel 73% further together than they would alone. So please know that your presence and your energy is helping uplift everyone. You know, Jesus said, where two or more gathered, we literally multiply and magnify the power and presence of Spirit.
And being that you're here, let me put you to work, and let's take our opening affirmation together.
All right.
Unity of Phoenix
is a loving spiritual community that welcomes all people and honors all paths to God.
We are dedicated to transforming lives by inspiring and awakening individuals to discover God's Spirit within them. Now is that time in our service for a time of prayer and to meditation. So if you have that wonderful little electronic device in your pocket that buzzes and rings and makes all those peculiar noises, please turn that on silence or vibrate as we prepare ourselves for this time of meditation. And Reverend Jill will lead us.
Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. I can feel the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
So I just invite you to take a nice, deep, relaxing breath. And just begin to allow whatever activities you've been involved with this morning, just begin to set those aside and to allow your full self to become present right here and right now in this room. Take another nice, deep, relaxing breath with me. So we just give thanks for this sacred opportunity to turn our focus away from our outer experience, to turn our focus away from our day, perhaps of all the things that we're going to do later on today. And we just allow that to be there. And we begin to bring our focus right here inside into our own internal life. So I invite you to give your mind permission to be still. That there isn't anything it has to do right now. There isn't anything it has to accomplish. We just allow your mind to rest. To be still in this moment. And we give thanks for our beautiful minds, for all that it does in a day, all that it accomplishes. And we give it permission to be completely open to God. And then we take another breath and we move even deeper into our center. And we just consciously choose in this moment to open our heart. I invite you to open your heart. To allow that love of God that is always available to us to begin to flow in and through our body. renewing us, restoring us, healing. And we feel that love moving from the top of our head all the way down our body, releasing, relaxing, all the way down to the tips of our toes. Giving our body and our mind our permission to open all the way up to God. For the good news is, as we turn within, as we move into our sacred center, we get to touch that experience that is God. For God is always here. That connection is always available to you. Right here within you is God. So I invite you to surrender all the way into God. To give God all of your cares, all of your struggles. To give God your concerns. To even give God your celebrations. And just feel that connection that is available to you. It's yours. I am connected to God. Just feel that in your own heart. I am connected to God. So as we breathe one more time and move into this time of silence, I just invite you to relax back even more into that connection that is yours. I am connected to God. In the silence. So we give thanks, truly, deeply, profoundly we give thanks. With all of the busyness of our lives and the activity, we express our deepest gratitude that we can come together in community, in the silence, in the quiet, to reconnect and to listen to our God. What a gift. So we say thank you, thank you, thank you, that our connection is always here. It is always available to us. That no matter what is going on in our lives, no matter what is happening in our day, we can stop and just for a moment, we can remember our connection to God. So we give thanks for this spiritual community. We give thanks for each and every one of us coming together to create this field of unconditional love. So we just bring all of the prayer requests from our prayer box right here into this moment, into this field of unconditional love. And we know with each prayer request that God is with them right now, answering and fulfilling their needs. We give thanks to all of our veterans. Thank you, thank you, thank you, with the deepest love in our hearts. Thank you for your service. And we send out a special prayer to the people in the Philippines who have undergone incredible storms, and for the storms that are still going in Southeast Asia. We send you our thoughts, we send you our love, and we see you remembering God today, that you are safe and secure in God. We give thanks for the spiritual leadership of this ministry and for the leaders of our world. We ask that they remember the highest truth. And we say thank you. Always, always, always thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God, that I am connected to you. And so it is. Amen. And now if you'll join with us as we sing together our Lord's Prayer.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And leave us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Something's calling me. Something's calling me. Something's calling me a little bit deeper like I'm walking on marbles. Can't still the earth beneath my feet. Is my head in the clouds, my naked legs left dangling. I can feel my heart begin to pound. Everybody said something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. A long dark night, my soul it wanders. Can't see the light that moves me. If God is everything and everywhere that I belong, Spirit gently wakes me from my sleep. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Oh, something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Oh Lord, oh Lord, take me deeper than I've ever been before. Oh Lord, oh Lord, pull me deeper than I've ever been before. Oh Lord, I know I'm not the only one to live inside these blues. Oh Lord, I surrender my life to you. Oh Lord, I give my love to you. Oh, love is calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Compassion's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. My faith keeps calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Peace is calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. God is calling me, and I'm grateful like I've never been before.
Good morning again, everyone. And a special shout out and welcome to everybody who watches us online. Thanks for joining us. So, have you ever come out of a mall or a movie theater and you looked around and you couldn't remember where you parked your car? Anybody ever remember that? Or have you ever run into someone that you know and you start talking with them, but you can't remember what their name is? Anybody? Or have you ever pulled into your driveway at home, and as soon as you pulled in, you realize you forgot to get milk or something from the grocery that you were supposed to get? You know, the fact is, every single one of us has times in our lives when we don't remember. You know, life's so busy, so many things to do, so many things on our minds that sometimes we just forget some things. You know, we forget where we put our keys. We forget we had an appointment. You know, we forget a birthday. We forget an anniversary. We forget to put the garbage out. You know, we forget to make a dinner reservation. You know, we forget to lock the house. We forget to take off the stove. We forget to pay a bill on time. We forget which of the 5 or 6 remote controls makes it go from TV to DVD. You know, we forget our account password or PIN number. I mean, we just forget stuff. You know, it reminds me of this elderly couple. They were having some challenges remembering some things, so they decided to take a power memory course that taught remembering through association. So a couple days after the class, the old man is outside with the neighbor chatting, and he's telling the neighbor what a fabulous class this was and what a difference it made for he and his wife. And the neighbor said, so what was the name of the instructor? And the old man says, well, let me see. What's the name of that flower? You know, that flower that, you know, it smells nice and has those prickly thorns. And the neighbor says, you mean a rose? And he said, yeah, that's it, a rose. So he turns to his house and he says, hey, Rose, what was the name of the guy you taught us the memory class? All right. So sometimes we all forget things. You know, sometimes we forget things we want to remember. Sometimes we forget things that are good to remember. Sometimes we forget things that are important to remember. Wouldn't it be cool? Wouldn't it be fabulous? Wouldn't it be just so great to remember all the things you want to remember exactly when you want to remember them? The dates, the names of people's faces, how to do certain things. Wouldn't it be cool to remember all the great jokes, all the great stories, all the great ideas that you've had and remembering them when you need them? I truly believe that as we remember the things that are important, that are things that are valuable to us, as that we get better at remembering those things, our lives get better. You know, remembering is an important part of having a happy and successful life, and I believe remembering is a key aspect to having an amazing spiritual life as well. You know, I don't think it's any coincidence that in the Bible the word remember is mentioned almost 300 times. Remembering isn't just a practice. Remembering is a spiritual directive that we have been given in the Bible. It says things like, remember the Lord thy God. Remember my commandments. Remember the word I have spoken to you. Remember the Sabbath. Remember my servant Jacob and Abraham. You know, even Jesus pointed out the importance of remembering when with communion he said, do this in remembrance of me. Remember what I taught. Remember how I lived. You know, remember what you learned and seen from me. Remember. I truly believe that as we remember the things that are important and valuable, that our lives get better. So the question this morning is, what are the spiritual things that will help our lives that it's important for us to remember? And the first thing I think that's important is to remember who you are. You know, one of the things I've come to realize is that when we forget, at some level it costs us something. Like the other day, I got in my car at the house, and I was just about to pull off, and I realized I'd forgotten some papers I needed for work. And so, you know, I had to get back out, you know, with my braces and crutches, move out, and it cost me like 5 or 6 minutes. But that's not bad, because I used to actually complain and get cranky about it, and it used to cost me 12 minutes because I used to whine. But I'll tell you, every time we forget, it costs us something. Like in a relationship, if you forget an anniversary, it costs you something. Some time and energy and apologizing and making it right. If you forget things in business, it could cost you customers and money. Every time we forget things that are important, at some level, it costs us time and energy in correcting or setting those things straight. So everybody saw the movie The Lion King. It's actually showing at Gamage, the live production that's showing at Gamage right now. And you heard that famous line, remember who you are. But I want to look at the cost of not remembering and forgetting who we are. So remember the character Simba. He thought he'd killed his father. He was actually deceived into it, but he thought he'd made a bad decision. He thought he'd made a horrible, horrible mistake. And so how does he respond to it? He feels awful. He feels ashamed. He feels guilty. He feels so disappointed in himself, so inadequate, that he runs away from his life. He runs away from his family. He runs away from his community. He runs away from his responsibility. He runs away from owning what is his to do. And he forgets. He forgets his royal birthright. He forgets that he was born to be a king. He forgets that he is a great leader. He forgets that he has a great responsibility. All he does is remember his mistake, and he thinks that he is his mistake. I truly believe when we forget who we are, it causes us to live a life of fear, a life of regret, a life of doubting ourselves, a life of believing that we're not good enough, a life we're afraid to try, afraid to become more. That when we forget who we are, it costs us, and we end up living a life of pain, because to live in fear and regret is to live a life of pain. So what was the thing that turned Simba's life around, turned him around, transformed his life from being one of distance and regret, It was that one line that his father said, the spirit of his father came back and said, and the one line to turn him around was, Simba, remember who you are. And that might sound like a cute little Disney message, but the truth is, that line that he said is a spiritual truth. Let's go to the Bible. Remember the story of the prodigal son? The prodigal son asks for half of his inheritance, takes it and wastes it and blows it all, makes some bad decisions. So he's at a low in his point. He has got no money to eat. He's feeding the pigs. He's thinking of eating the food of the pigs. He's down. And then he says a line that turns it around for him. And here's what the line said. And then he came to himself. Or you could substitute, and then he remembered who he was. He remembered his heritage. He remembered, that this isn't the life he's supposed to live. He remembered that greater things are in store for him, that he has greater blessings. And the thing I love is that both Simba and the prodigal son, the thing that lifted their lives out of sadness and fear and regret, what rose them up, what opened them up, was to remember who they are. So I ask you in your life, when things aren't going well, when you're struggling, when you've made some bad decisions, how good are you at remembering who you are? And who is the who that you are to remember? Sometimes we think, who are you? What's your identity? Well, I'm Richard Mirage, and I'm a man, and I'm a minister. No, that's not the identity. That's not the who we are we need to remember. The who we are we need to remember is that I am a child of God. The who we are we need to remember is I am a unique expression of the divine. That we need to remember that you are a creation and are a part of the creative intelligence and the creative force and the energy of this universe that created the sun and the star, and the moon and the oceans. That you are made of the stuff of God. You are made of the stuff that made all things made all things and makes all things possible. That you are the hands and the face of God. That you are the love and the beauty and the wisdom of God. Jesus put it this way. He said, you are the light of the world. And if you believe in that spirit in you, the Christ in you, the divine in you, like I've believed it in me, then you shall do the things that I have done and even greater things than these. That's who you are. An amazing spiritual beings. We are spiritual giants. But unfortunately, we have all developed spiritual amnesia and we forget who we are. And we tend to think small and believe small and play small and live small. And I believe when we forget who we are, we struggle. But when we remember who we are, we rise up. We lift up. And we open up to a greater experience of life, to the life that we're called to live. We are not meant to live lives of regret and fear and doubt. That we are here to do great things. One of the things I love, and let me read it to you. It's in the book of James, chapter 1, verse 22 to 24. Here's what it says. It says, be doers of the word, not merely hearers who deceive themselves. For if any are hearers of the word and not doers, they are like those who look at themselves in a mirror, for they look at themselves and on going away immediately forget what they were like, or immediately forget what they look like. I don't want to read the rest, so guys, you're going to take it down. But the point I'm trying to make there is that to be doers of the word, to live the word, to embody the word, the very first and most important thing we need to do is to remember who we are. I am a child of God. I am God's beloved child in whom God is well pleased. I am the light of God. I am the hands and eyes of God. I am the love, the beauty, and the wisdom of God. All that God is, I am. I want you to do that with me. And just repeat after me. I am a child of God. Together. I am a child of God. Take a deep breath and let that truth in. I am God's beloved child in whom God is well pleased. Together. I am God's beloved child in whom God is well pleased. Deep breath. I am the light of God. Together. I am the light of God. Breathe that in. I am the hands and eyes of God. Together. I am the hands and eyes of God. Deep breath. I am the love, beauty, and wisdom of God. Together. I am the love, beauty, and wisdom of God. Deep breath. All that God is, I am. Together. All that God is, I am. Deep breath. Amen. The most important thing you can do when you are struggling with life, the most important thing you can do when things aren't going well, the most important thing you can do for yourself and your family and community in the world is to take time to remember who you are. And what I invite you to do is take 2 minutes in the morning and 2 minutes before you go to sleep and just meditate on any one of those affirmations, any one of those truths of who you are. Center yourself in the truth of who you are, that you are a child of God, that you are an amazing spiritual being, that you are the light of the world, that all that God is, you are. Second thing I think it's important for us to remember is remember to give thanks. You know, there's this fabulous Irish proverb that says this. It says, when things go right, no one remembers. And when things go wrong, no one forgets. The human beings have a propensity to remember the bad and forget the good. We have an infinite capacity at times to take things for granted. I mean, how often do we take the people that are close around us for granted? Sometimes we take our health for granted. Sometimes we take our homes for granted. Sometimes we take all our blessings for granted, our friends for granted. You know, this is a theme in the Old Testament. Do you remember the children of Israel? No matter how many great things God did for them, leading them out of the bondage and slavery in Egypt, to helping them with the parting of the Red Sea, to feeding them in the wilderness, taking them to the promised land, every time they absolutely forgot the good that God did for them, forgot all the promises of God. They were always whining, always complaining, always forgetting the good and remembering the not so good. And so that God would have, after something great, God would have the people build an altar. And you know why it was for them to build an altar? It was to help them remember. It was to help them recognize and help them acknowledge the good that happens in our lives. So much of the good that we often forget. Remember in the book of Luke, chapter 17, they had the 10 lepers who wanted to be healed, and Jesus told them to go to the temple, and they were cleansed, and they were all healed, and just one came back to give thanks. And Jesus says, weren't there 10 of you? Where are the rest of the 9? And Jesus gets really ticked and really disappointed. And he didn't get ticked and disappointed because he wanted personal recognition or credit. That isn't the reason he got. You know why he got upset? Because Jesus knew when we forget to give thanks, that we are cheating ourselves and robbing ourselves of a deeper level of joy and appreciation, a deeper level of awareness and being present and seeing and rejoicing in the good. Jesus was disappointed because he knows when we forget to give thanks that we are cheating ourselves out of the fullness of life, and that we are cheating ourselves out of attracting and increasing our good by expressing a level of gratitude. You know, the fact is, there are so many blessings, but what Jesus is saying is that there are a lot of blessings in your life, but you need to stop and remember to give thanks. I mean, how often do you wake up and give thanks that you're alive, that give thanks for the gift of life? How often do we give thanks for the health of our bodies, or for the love and support of our families, for the love of our friends? You know, giving thanks for our job, give thanks for our home, give thanks for our church community, give thanks for the lessons that we've learned, give thanks for music and art, give thanks for theater and for sports, give thanks for animals, give thanks for children, give thanks for the warmth of the sunshine, give thanks for the sunrise and the sunset and the stars and the moon that we get to see at night. Give thanks for this fabulous weather in Phoenix. Give thanks for nature. Give thanks for the birds. Give thanks for the mountains. Give thanks for the trees. Give thanks for the flowers, especially that one. You know, the one that smells really nice and has those thorns? And give thanks for peace of mind. Give thanks for laughter when you can get some. And give thanks for forgiveness and being able to let go of the past. Give thanks. Everybody take a deep breath. You ever thought of giving thanks or taking the ease of taking a good breath? Give thanks for all the beautiful things you can see, all the wonderful things we hear, all the things we smell and taste and touch. There are so many things to give thanks for. I bet every single day, every one of us could fill up pages upon pages of things for us to be grateful for. The question is, do we stop and remember to give thanks? You know, this week, like every week, we all have so many things, and I was so glad I paused to give thanks. You know, there was an area in my life I had to stretch and communicate in a more honest way than I normally do, and it was a little scary, but I give thanks that I had the opportunity and I was able to do that. I give thanks for my friends who I can laugh and feel such joy and safety around, and I feel so supported. I feel so grateful. My brother Brian's here. Comes from Canada twice a year just to see me. Yeah, he does some research at ASU, but he comes really to see me. And I'm so thankful for that. I mean, I'm from a family of 10, and to have a family, no family in Phoenix, and to have them visit me just touches my heart, and I feel so much gratitude. You know, I had some great food this week, and I just gave thanks for all of it. I had this fabulous sushi, and then this Asian salad with macadamia nut chicken over at Kona Grill. Oh, God, that tasted so good. Seriously. And then I had this amazing pumpkin soup that was garnished with pomegranate seeds and some fresh mint leaves in the most beautifully decorated way I've ever seen. And then for my entree, I had salmon with quinoa. No, with quinoa, avocado, and spinach. Incredible. At St. Francis. Really good. And then I had some Thai food. I had this lime-steamed fish with this lime vinaigrette. It was incredible. I gave thanks to the food. I give thanks to the restaurants. I give thanks to the chef. You know, and I especially give thanks. I don't have to eat my own cooking. I really gave thanks. I don't take that for granted at all. And so, enough of my playfulness. The question is, what is it time for you to stop and remember to give thanks for? There are so many blessings in our lives, but the key to it is, are you remembering to pause to give thanks? And I will tell you, one of the most profound ways, you know, we can think about it, but I really think having a gratitude journal is a powerful thing. There is something amazing about writing it down, the motion of writing it and seeing it, that helps you recognize it, remember it, and acknowledge it in a far deeper way. So here's what I'd like you to do. For the next week, and really for as long as you'd like, I want you to, before you go to bed, write down 5 things that you're grateful for. You know, someone was nice to you, a lesson you learned, you felt the warmth of the sun, you heard the song of the birds. And then in the morning, I want you to write down things that you give thanks in advance for. Like write down, I give thanks, you know, for a really great day today. Or I give thanks that I have a really fabulous workout. I give thanks that my interview goes really well. I give thanks that I have all the strength and the energy to do things that are mine to do with ease and grace. You know, I give thanks that every person I interact with, that I'm fully present, and I speak kindly and positively to all of them. Write 5 things at night that you're grateful for, and in the morning, write 5 things in advance that you're thankful for that day. Remember who you are. Remember to give thanks. And the third one, I just want to share a little story with you that I found when I was in seminary and discovered and heard. Here's what it says. Once upon a time, we were all souls living with God, and we heard there was a thing called life on earth. And as excited little souls, we wanted to have that journey and experience life on earth. And God said, are you sure? Because life on earth is a little different than life is here. People sometimes get confused. They're not always as loving. You know, it's a beautiful and wonderful place, earth, but there's still a lot of work to be done there. And the excited little souls say, yeah, God, we want to go. We want to go. And God said, are you sure you want to go? There are no guarantees about how long you can go, how long your journey will be. It could be 2 days, it could be 2 years, it could be 20 years, 70, or maybe even 100 or more. Excited soul says, we don't care how long it is. We want to go. We want to go. And God says, well, if you go, the vehicle you get to go and experience life on earth is called a body. And no two of them are alike. They come in all sizes, all different shapes and colors, and you don't know what, if you get a big one or a small one or a strong one or a frail one. They're all kinds, so you don't know. And the little excited soul said, we will accept whatever body we're given, and we'll treat it well, we'll be proud of it. And then God says, well, are you sure you want to go? Because there are no guarantees of the environment you'll be born in. You might be born in a loving one, but you might be born in a challenging one with some conflict. You might experience poverty. You might have a life where your talents aren't really recognized or appreciated very much, and you may not get as much support as you'd like to have. And the little excited soul say, God, we'll embrace it all. We'll know that everything has meaning. We won't run or hide from anything. We will learn and grow from everything. And we'll bring light into all the dark places, and we will just have a great life. God, can we go? Can we go? God says, okay, you can go, but just remember, it won't be easy. What you got to do is you got to believe in me and believe in yourself. I've given you everything you need, and I'll give you more you need for your journey to be successful. And I said, God, can we go? Can we go now? Can you stop? Can we go? And God says, okay, you can go, but just promise me one thing. And the little soul say, what do you want? And he said, remember to stay in touch. And the fact is, we get excited little souls who want to run around and do all kinds of things. But sometimes we forget to stay in touch. How many people here have ever said or thought to yourself, I was so busy today I forgot to pray. I didn't have time to pray. Anybody else? Okay. And the fact is sometimes we forget to stay in touch. We theoretically know that God is there and present, but we don't always take the time to stay connected and remember to stay in touch. One of the things that Jesus did exceptionally well, like one of the principles of remembering is repetition. It's a part of remembering. And so one thing Jesus did was Jesus repetitively and consistently, morning, midday, afternoon, and evening, prayed. He took time to be still. He took time to quiet his mind and to listen to the still small voice. He took time to commune and to connect with Spirit. He took time to remember to stay in touch consistently and regularly. And that's an important thing for us, is to consistently stay in touch, because the more we do, the more centered we are. The more we do, the more connected we are. The more we do, the more loving, the more peaceful, the more joyful. Are you remembering to stay in touch? How many people know you could be a little bit more consistent in your prayer and your connecting with God time? Anybody? It reminds me of my little nephew, Joshua, when he was 6 years old. My sister Ariane used to actually have them do the Lord's Prayer every night. There were 3 brothers. And my little nephew, Joshua, they would say the Lord's Prayer every night. Our Father art in heaven, they would do it every night. And Joshua one night said to his mom, after like a week of doing it, he says, Mom, why do we have to say the same prayer every night? Can't God just remember the stuff? And the important thing about that, for us to realize, it's not for God to remember, it's for us to be centered. It's for us to stay connected. The more we connected, the more we're open, the more we're grounded. We're more in the flow. The more we're open, the more receptive we are to the still small voice and the wisdom of God. The fact is, every single one of us in our lives will have times where we forget things. And one of my favorite lines by the Dalai Lama says this: it doesn't matter how many times you forget. What does matter is how many times you remember. Remembering is a powerful spiritual practice. It is a spiritual directive we have all been given. So this week, I invite you to practice to remember who you are, especially in the tough times. Remember to give thanks, and remember to stay in touch. And when you get to the heart of what all the remembering about, is it about remembering love. And the best way to remember to love ourselves is to remember who we are. The best way to love life is to remember to give thanks. The best way to remember God is to remember to stay in touch. We all want a better life. We all deserve a better life. And the best way to do it, to help us rise up, to lift up, and to open up, is to remember. God bless you all. So everybody, let's rise now as we join our kids in our song, and the kids will lead us in the prayer of protection. Let me get a hug.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
And now let's follow the lead of our kids with their prayer protection. Kids?
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is.
God bless you. Have a good day and a wonderful week.